I used to be there myself, broke and lost. But I'll be honest with you, my life wasn't always like this. You see, at some point I was living a somewhat quite decent life. I lived with a very unstable but a very successful father. I went to private school and I would always go out with friends and have fun each and every single day. I was that guy in the group who had everything handed to him on a golden plate, regardless of how everything is happening within the family. But eventually all of that came to an end, and it was the biggest reality check that happened in my life, but also it was the one thing that needed to happen for me to be set on my own path, to do my own thing and actually find purpose in life. Like I said, my father at some point was quite successful, running a business, making around 7 figures annually, pure profit take home. I was about to live that life of trust funds and travels and that oldest child who would take over everything his father has built in the future. I was that kid. But due to poor business decisions with partners, everything came crumbling down. Now imagine seeing everything, the lifestyle, the dreams, the plans, the goals, go away in one day. It wasn't easy, and that actually affected me more than anything on earth. All of a sudden, when I go out with friends, I can't afford cinema tickets to go watch a movie with friends, but luckily for me, I had a friend who's still my best friend till this day who made sure I was taken care of. Even if he wasn't doing the best himself, he made sure I was taken care of because he knew that everything was going to shambles. Eventually we hit rock bottom and we had to begin selling everything in our house to make sure we put food on the table and we keep the lights on during the day and at night. But my father knew that he could only do that for so long. Like eventually we would run out of things to sell and we would need to figure out another way to survive. So eventually I was told that I had to move back in with my mother because at this point my father cannot take care of me, he cannot do anything about it, and although that is very understandable, it was my father's fault for everything that has happened. So I did. I moved back in with my mother and younger brother with nothing but a suitcase and $100 that I got from selling my TV. But despite me moving into such a more stable house now, there was a huge problem that I didn't take into account. My mother was only really able to provide for herself and my brother, and that was about it really. And me coming into the picture just meant that I'm such a huge expense, like she doesn't even know what to do at this point. So for months and months to come, the daily topic was really around what are we gonna do? How are we gonna survive this month? Bills are stacking up. Yusuf came into the picture. What are we gonna do? Like, you know, it was very hard at the time. And as much as I really wanted to help, I really felt helpless and I felt useless. I felt not powerful. I felt lost. I was scared. I was anxious. I wanted to do something about it, but it just, the power wasn't in my hands. All I really had to do was pray at the time and hopefully something would change. But I knew I had to do something to make sure I'm helping at least, like, you know, no matter how small the effort is or how small I'm contributing into the house, I had to do something about it so my mom isn't carrying everything on her own. So I began looking around for opportunities, TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, trying to find a job that I could get. And eventually I came across a TikTok video that it was about a suit company who were looking for outbound setters. And I was like, you know what, I've got nothing to lose, may as well just apply and hope for the best. So I did. I applied, I got a job interview, I jumped on and I got accepted. Now, here's the catch. It was only commission based. No base salary, no nothing. So the amount of work I put in, I get X amount out. The job was simple. I was provided with a list each and every single day full of leads, and my job is to create a bunch of LinkedIn accounts and reach out to them and hopefully get them to book a call with their closer. And if they close packages, if they buy suits, or if they buy whatever it is they want to buy or whatever packages they're selling, I get a commission. The commissions ranged anywhere from $200 all the way up to $600 per close. So I followed the instructions. For the upcoming 3 months, I was doing nothing but creating LinkedIn accounts, reaching out to people, getting booked calls. But eventually I had enough. I wasn't making enough. And really this job wasn't gonna get me anywhere. So I made a huge step back and I left it. And at this point I was able to get a couple deals closed and I had some money saved up for me to like kind of go out and do my own thing. But I didn't because I was scared. I was scared to end up like my father. I was scared to make bad decisions. I was scared to step out of my comfort zone and do my own thing. It was a very bad thing at the time to do, especially seeing what happened to my father. So I decided to begin again, looking around for another opportunity and land a job, hopefully a much better job. And eventually I found a job opportunity on the Telegram group, and it was of a guy who was looking for an appointment setter for a coach he's coaching. And the salary range were between anywhere from $3,000 all the way up to $5,000. Of course, it was commission based as well, just like the last one. But I was like, you know what, may as well try. I've got nothing to lose. I applied, and after doing follow-ups here and there with the person, I jumped on a call with the coach, and eventually she put me in as her appointment setter, and I got straight to work. And within the first month, I was overachieving. Despite her setting specific KPIs, I was getting more booked calls than she asked for. But now I was faced with another issue. The coach was doing everything on their own. So on the marketing side, the coach that she was working with was helping her with that. When it comes to sales and service delivery, she was doing that, which meant that she had to jump on the sales calls and close it herself. But there was a problem. She had no good sales experience whatsoever. Every call she jumped on, despite them being quite qualified, she did not close them because she didn't know how to go about her sales call. Now, I do not blame her. I blame the coach that she was working with. And now all I'm really left with is I'm setting booked calls, but I'm not getting any money, which led to me being paid on bonuses. So every time I overachieved on KPIs, she would pay me in bonuses. But it wasn't big bonuses. It wasn't even something that I could go out with and, have some fun. So now at this point I was lost again, and I didn't know what to do. I was like, dude, I've already got 2 jobs and none of them really worked out the way I imagined it. Despite how much work I put in, this sucks. And then one night I was sitting in bed and I was just gazing at my ceiling, trying to think what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna do it. I don't know where my future is gonna end up like. I need to get my shit together ASAP, or else I don't know how bad things could get for me. And honestly, what I was thinking of is, how can I help the person that I'm working for close more deals, so perhaps I not only I get a commission for the deal she closes, but also I get a bigger percentage for helping her out. And that's when something kind of clicked for me. That's when a light bulb went on. I thought to myself, well, I know how to market, I know how to sell. Why don't I do whatever the person I'm working for is doing? What if I do what they do, but just much better, because I already have the experience from a long time ago? And that really was just my aha moment. I was like, dude, I've got it figured out. I know what to do now. Let's crush it. Maybe it will work, maybe it won't work. I don't know unless I test it. And at this point, I was at a phase where I'm honestly testing everything and seeing which one sticks. And the next day when I woke up, the only thing I was working on is trying to figure out my offer. Who am I gonna help? What am I gonna help them with? How I'm gonna help them achieve it? How I'm gonna go about marketing my offer? What am I gonna do? And I was slowly learning everything behind the scenes for the coach that I was working for. So it's like, I didn't leave the job, I was still working for them, but at the same time, I was looking at the behind the scenes of how the operations, the sales, everything, how everything was going on, so I can begin to structure my offer, structure my program, whatever I was going to sell. So now the first step for me was to create my offer. And at this point, I kind of knew sort of how to run a business. Like I said, I was observing what the coach I was working for was doing. But also, when I lived with my father, at the time he was running a business, I kind of saw how things were. I saw my father as a leader. He was a leader at work. I'll tell you that. He was crushing it. He was the guy who would walk in and people would just look at him and stare, observe, and execute on whatever he says, no matter how impossible it is. I was watching how he acted, his work ethic, how he would talk to people, how he would manage people, everything. I saw it, I observed it, I studied it. So now at this point, I kind of have the confidence of how I should go about my business, how I should act in front of people, how confident I should be when I'm speaking, the way I should talk, the way I should act. I kind of knew how to do all of it. I wasn't perfect at it, but I knew that with everything that I've observed and everything I've studied, I'm ready to get my foot through the door. So after some deep work of trying to come up with an offer, I came up with an offer that structured really around my past life and how I was able to manage my stress, my panic attacks, and I began selling that to people as a program. Here's the thing, I did not build out the program, I just built out the concept, and now I wanted to market it if there's a proof of concept, then I'm ready to fully go at it and build a program. So I went to one marketing channel that I knew would be the best fit for me, and it was Instagram. And I began marketing my offer. Of course, I did lose some money at the beginning just because I really didn't know what the heck I was doing. I had no coach. It was just, I'm testing everything out and seeing which one sticks. But I knew that life is all about testing and life is all about trying. And eventually whatever I keep sticking with is gonna click and is gonna work out. And it happened. It eventually worked. I began closing $2,000 to $3,000 clients. And when the results kicked in, everything began to change for me. Although I still had some past trauma that I had to work on. I began to help my mother, I began to help my brother, I began to make them feel hope again. I started to finally feel useful, like finally I'm doing something on my own. I'm not living in my father's shadow. It's no longer how him controlling my life or how things turn out. It's me doing my own thing, not knowing how it's gonna end up. Hopefully not the way he ended up like. And I knew that as long as I don't take my foot off the gas, I'm gonna keep achieving everything that my father has achieved. But this time I had to play it much smarter. When I began to feel that sense of hope that things will be okay, I began to feel that at some point in life, I'll get to a point where I'll help my father get everything he has built and lost. But this time, it will be me who sets the rules, not him. Which is why I'll say this, dream as big as you can. Regardless everything that has happened in your life, just begin to dream. Don't lose hope, man. Dream of helping out your family. Dream of helping out yourself. Dream of giving your family everything they could have wished for, but didn't have the opportunity to have it. And you know, I used to be always looked down by my father for some reason. Despite me being the oldest child, I was somehow looked down by my own father. You know, it was like, you know the show Succession, Kendall Roy and his father Logan? It was kind of the same relationship, nonetheless. Him being Logan, me being Kendall, and it's just that toxic relationship of just making your son feel worthless. Giving him hopes and dreams, but then you treat him very badly and you make him feel like shit. You make him feel like he's the most useless person on earth. That was the relationship between me and my father. My father was the type of person who would have everything he could have ever wanted, but still doesn't really provide us with what we needed the most. For example, my younger brother would ask him for things, and I knew that my father could afford it. I knew that for sure my father could afford it, but he never put in the effort to actually get him something to put a smile on his face. No, he never did. Why? I don't know. Is it an act of selfishness? He was giving my stepmother and my half-siblings everything they could have wanted. Everything. And when I saw that happen, I kind of felt that my father's downfall was gonna come soon just because of the unfairness of how he treated everybody. And I knew right then and there that when I begin to make it in life, some way or another, either by me taking whatever he has built and running off with it, or by me building my own thing, I knew that I was gonna give my mom and brother everything they could have wished for, but never got it. Which is also a big reason why that the way I navigate through life is by making sure I don't do whatever my father has done. Any decisions he has made, I kinda step away from it. I don't try and get involved with it. Everything that he has done wrong in life, I simply learn from it. I don't judge, I just learn and I keep going with everything. No matter who the person is, I just learn from their mistakes and I make sure that I don't do them. And by far, that has changed my life. By going out and doing my own thing, making sure that I don't copy anyone. I'm not copying my father. I'm not copying anyone that I look at online. I just do my own thing and I learn from them. Their mistakes and their winnings, I learn from it. Life is too short to think, honestly. I think it's only time to act. To me, the way I was looking at everything is that as long as I take action, even if I'm gonna end up testing a bunch of things to see which one sticks, at least I'm trying. And that's really what life is to just keep trying, keep learning, keep navigating until you get to a goal. And when I started, my entire goal was to just make $10,000. So for me to make $10,000, I had to reverse engineer everything. The amount of money that I've made is just an exchange of value. That is it. No one will ever pay me for something for free, ever. When I was working for that coach, I was getting in bonuses because I was providing extra value into the business, which is why I was getting paid. And now I truly learned my value. I truly learned my worth. If people are benefiting from my work and my help, that just shows that whatever my father was saying about me is completely false. I was living most of my life really scared to do something because of how people would look at me, just because my father said so. But he was wrong. And if you think that you're not worthy of doing something, you don't deserve to help people, that is your exact reason why you're not able to achieve anything. You need to begin thinking highly of yourself. You need to begin to take action. You need to begin to see which group of people in the market you can help. In exchange, you get money. And that is really just what entrepreneurship is. Like I said, an exchange of value. That is it. I don't want to take up more of your time. I really appreciate you joining the chat for today. If you did like my video, I would hope that you would just, leave a thumbs up or a comment of, past life trauma that you've went through, your relationship with your parents, your goals, your aspirations. And also, you can watch my last video of how I turned $100 into $1,000, so you know exactly what I do and how I did it. You can also leave a sub. And on that note, I will see you in the next conversation.